Thursday morning. It's a misty morning, very foggy and a little drizzly, but it's looking like it's going to be a pretty nice day. I'm very tired and did not want to get up this morning, so to not fall asleep, I'm going to talk to you for a bit. Today I have my Thursday schedule, which is calculus in the morning, and then a short break, and then my physics lecture, and then my chem lecture, and then my physics lab, which instead of any experiments today, we're going to be doing our test redo, where he has you redo the test in entirety, and you have the opportunity to get a point back for each question. So you can add 5 points onto your total score, which is nice. You know, he doesn't have to do that, so it's wonderful when we get anything out of that. Mostly what I've been thinking about is the, and I wanted to talk about, was the Mars One project. They announced yesterday, day before, just a couple days ago, something like that, that they have narrowed it down to 100 candidates for the final positions to go and live and colonize and die on Mars. And there's a lot of skepticism around this plan, which is basically involving a lot of technology that hasn't been fully developed yet, but the company is counting on being developed by the time 2022 rolls around, which is when they're planning on launch, or 2030, I can't remember. But they plan on funding this incredibly expensive, independently, funded project by having it be a public event, a public spectacle, a reality show, basically, where the advertising of it, and I suppose donators and things like that, will basically pay for this mission to Mars. And some of the skepticism is around whether or not this can actually be funded without being attached to any government. A lot of the skepticism is about whether or not they'll actually be able to make it because of, the technology involved. Some MIT folks did a pretty in-depth look at the fallacies of their plan and determined that the first individual would die within 68 days of the mission. And considering a trip to Mars takes, 8 months? Something like that? 68 days is a pretty quick way to die. But I don't know, I choose to be hopeful, and I choose to be supportive in what's happening, because it's an important thing, and Mars is kind of the hot topic right now. NASA just announced the desire to launch a submarine and, go check out Titan's oceans, which, is great, but colonizing a new planet, landing on a new planet is such the next step to ensuring, the continuation of our species, and which is driving us. And the reason I have such a soft spot for Mars One is that's what got me on this journey. What spurred my epiphany a couple years ago was seeing the announcement of this project and having that immediate visceral reaction of so much wanting to be a part of something so monumental, and specifically the exploration, the barrier shattering, the something that's just so incredibly important. And I started my application process, and I kept up with, you know, the news, and I was very into this idea of, oh, you know, I don't have any any schooling or any skills, but because I had the personality that I had, I thought that I could be a viable candidate because they were pulling from everyone. You did not have to have a scientific background or have a military background, nothing like that. It was all based on personality, basically, and then they would train you. And at some point, I realized, I had that epiphany where I realized that I didn't have to just rely on chance, on a lottery, on a reality show, that I could, in fact, go to school and but be taught and learn how to get involved in this kind of thing. And the pipe dream, of course, is to be an astronaut eventually. But I understand that there is a little likelihood in that happening. But at the very least, I want to help get humanity into the stars, onto other planets, you know, out of here. I want to help ensure the continuation of our species should things continue to go very poorly on this planet. And so that's what happened. Was that idea was burned, and I started researching astronauts and what kind of backgrounds did they have, what were their qualifications. I knew that a lot of the time they were military people, Air Force, etc., but military direction wasn't something that I really wanted to do, and so engineering was a common thread. And as I started looking into air engineering, because typically if it's not something you're doing, it's not really something that you know exactly what they do, or what kind, how wide the field of engineering is. And as I looked at engineering, I found that there was astronautical engineering, specifically spaceships and satellites and things that flew outside of our atmosphere. And that got me so freaking excited. The idea that I could be involved in that I could, you know, help build the technology that would help programs like Mars One or NASA or Lockheed or SpaceX or whoever else, you know, is making those big leaps in our space exploration and discovery. And so I started looking at schools and the whole thing. You know, it was a, you know, several month journey of discovery and of picking a school and planning and getting gung-ho about it. But Mars One was the springboard. Mars One was the key to the door of the possibilities for me. And so it's been almost a couple of years now, and they're narrowed it down to their 100 candidates, and they're doing more interviews, and they're having, you know, their psychoanalysts and people, you know, figure out who's going to be the best fit for the first, I think 4 are going to be the first team to go up, and then there will be 4 after that. But it's just, it's such a cool idea, and I really want it to work out. I want to watch the show. I want to watch the streams of these people learning how to be Mars colonists. I want to watch them learn how to be doctors for themselves, and how to grow their own food supply, and how to, you know, survive the isolation and saying goodbye to their families, and watch them take off and land and explore this world that foot has never stepped on before. So I choose to be hopeful. I acknowledge the skepticisms. I acknowledge the reasons why it might not be successful and why it, you know, in all likelihood probably won't be successful, but I am going to count on it anyways, because it means a lot to me, and it's really, really, really cool. Yeah, so that was just kind of a little deviation from my life, but Mars One, if you haven't really heard of it before, you should check it out. It's an interesting idea. There's a lot happening with ideas around Mars right now, and Mars One is one of the cool ones. Yeah, so I'm heading to class. I'm going to be there in maybe less than half an hour, which is nice because this drive is really long. I'll get there in plenty of time to relax a little before class starts. Wish me luck on my day, and I will talk to you later. Bye!